If you're visiting Hawaii anytime soon, it's probably been months of planning, preparing. You booked the flights, chose a hotel, reserved the rental car, and built an entire day around one place you really want to visit. But then you arrive and learn the reservation window opened like weeks ago, and now there's no tickets left. So today, I'm breaking down which Hawaii reservations matter most when they open and what to do if you miss one. Plus, I'll share with you a brand new free tool I just built that does the date and all the math and all the things for you. Aloha and welcome to Hawaii's Best. I'm Brian Murphy, Hawaii destination expert and your personal guide to planning an unforgettable trip to Hawaii. I had this episode planned for a few weeks, but it was spurred on because I just did a Hawaii planning session with someone and they really want to do Diamond Head, but they hadn't booked their reservation window yet. So that date had already been open. So hopefully they have now booked that. And I'm going to get into that a little bit, why it matters, because those things can really be surprising, especially if this is your first time on one of the islands. Oahu, for example, talking about Diamond Head. Some places, they require advanced reservations. You probably have heard some of that. There have been new places that have been added to this list, and that's why I think that this episode is timely and the tool is important. And I'm surprised that I haven't really done an episode like this yet, but I wanted to wait to see how everything panned out because there were things earlier this year in 2026 that were new to the list, and I think things have settled now for the time being. I know there's a lot of dates and release times in this episode, so you don't have to memorize them. Maybe get a pen and paper right now and jot them down. That could be helpful. But the goal is really to help you understand what needs to be booked first and what can stay flexible. And later, I'll show you how to get that free Hawaii reservation checker that I mentioned. It turns each rule and it really does all the work for you. You put in your date that you want to go to that specific place. It calculates it for you. You can download the calendar reminder right there so you don't have to remember it. And there's also a link that you can go to that site and book it right away. So before we get into each island, I think it helps to understand why these systems even exist. They aren't just there just to make planning more difficult for you and I visiting, but reservations help control parking. There's not a lot of parking at a lot of these places. They help reduce pressure on nearby communities. A lot of these places are within neighborhoods, some of them. They protect cultural and natural resources, and they keep heavily visited places from being overwhelmed. For example, Hanauma Bay once received thousands of visitors in a single day. Now, the city now manages access while trying to balance, recreation, conservation, all that stuff, and the cultural importance of each area. So this isn't really about complaining that Hawaii has too many rules. It's really about understanding how the system works, planning ahead, showing up prepared, and really leaving Hawaii better and beautiful for generations and generations. We're going to start with Oahu, and Oahu has probably the longest list. So first you have the Arizona Memorial at Pearl Harbor. The main ticket release opens 56 days ahead at 3 p.m. Hawaii Standard Time. And there's also a second release one day ahead that is at 3 p.m. Hawaii Standard Time. Now, the program itself is free, although recreation.gov charges a small service fee of $1. Every person needs a ticket for the boat program that goes over to the actual memorial. So make sure everyone in your group is included in that. And just save confirmation, take a screenshot. That's always important, especially on Hawaii. Any QR code or reservation confirmation, always have a screenshot of that because you just never know what self-service is going to look like. But if you miss both of those ticket releases, you can still visit Pearl Harbor Visitor Center and walk through the museums there. You just won't have a reserved ticket for the boat over to the USS Arizona Memorial. While you're there, just a quick plug, be sure to head over to Ford Island and visit the Aviation Museum over there. They have some really cool stuff happening. Now, next up is Diamond Head, also known as Leahi, the official name of Diamond Head. Non-residents need an advance reservation to enter. So if you're driving into the crater, you also need a parking reservation. Reservations are available up to 30 days ahead of your desired visit. Now, the tricky part about this is that the state doesn't publish one specific daily release time. So once your date enters that 30-day window, go ahead and book it right away. Like I mentioned, the person that I was on the planning session with, their visit date is within the 30 days. So I went right over to the site and I said, yeah, you gotta book it right now. The earliest they can get in is 10 a.m. And for Diamond Head, you want to get in as early as possible. You don't want to do Diamond Head in the peak of the day of the sun because there's not a lot of shade. It can get pretty hot. If parking is sold out, look for entry-only tickets. You can then use a legal drop-off, taxi, rideshare to go ahead and get you over to Diamond Head. Now, next is Hanauma Bay, and this one works a little bit differently. The city highly recommends online reservations, but reservations aren't the only way to get in. Admission-only reservations open 2 days ahead at 7 a.m. Hawaii time, and Hawaii residents with valid ID don't need one. Also, a limited amount of daily access is available for first come, first serve walk-ins. But what's important to understand is that I would treat that walk-in option as a backup. It's not something I would build a family vacation around and just hope that you can get one of those walk-in tickets, especially if Hanauma Bay is on one of your top priorities. Also, an online reservation doesn't reserve a parking spot. Parking can fill up. There's also an important temporary closure to know about. That's coming up pretty quickly at the time of this recording. Hanauma Bay is scheduled to close from August 3rd through August 11th, 2026 for a sewer project. So the last major Oahu stop that I want to put on your radar is Iolani Palace. And this place sells tour tickets online and it doesn't offer walk-up ticket sales. So there isn't like a standard 30 or 60 or 56 day rolling window of when they release, but I would still book before your trip so you have a better chance of their tour times and fit it into the day that you actually want to go to the palace. And when you visit, especially when you visit Iolani Palace, just, remembering that this isn't simply just a sightseeing photo op. Iolani Palace carries some deep historical, cultural importance, beautiful history, but also some very complex history too. Arrive on time, just treat the place with respect. And right now we're going to head over to Maui. On the island of Maui, the first reservation that you need to know about is Haleakala Sunrise. You need a one-vehicle reservation to enter the Summit District between 3 and 7 a.m. in the morning. The main ticket release opens 60 days ahead at 7 a.m. Hawaii time. And then a second group of tickets opens up 2 days ahead, 48 hours, also at 7 a.m. It's important to note that the Sunrise reservation is separate from your national park entrance pass. So you want to bring the reservation confirmation, a photo ID for the reservation holder, and your park pass or payment method to get into the actual national park. And I think the one thing I really want you to remember about Haleakala is if Sunrise is sold out, which typically it is, Haleakala doesn't have to come off your itinerary. You can visit after 7 a.m. You can explore during the daytime or even consider sunset. Sunset is also a beautiful time in Haleakala National Park. But after 7 a.m., you don't need the Sunrise reservation. All right, staying on the island of Maui, we're going to head over to Wainapanapa State Park, and it's that beautiful black sand beach along the Rotohana. Non-residents need advance entry and parking reservations to the state park. Inventory opens 30 days ahead at midnight Hawaii time. You can see there's all these this time is for that, and then it's 30 days for here, 56 or 60 days. So that's why I built that tool for basically you and I to keep track of. So, but anyway, it's 30 days ahead of the time that you want to visit, and releases at midnight Hawaii time. This is for Wainapanapa State Park. There are no same-day reservations for the state park. So your reservation also gives you a specific time slot of entry. So you can't arrive whenever you want and then stay all day. This could be kind of tough. It can kind of be a little tricky trying to plan it, especially you got to do the Rotohana to get over there. So this matters a lot for your itinerary and how you're building your day. But book the park first and then build the rest of your day around that time. Oh, and don't assume that you can just park nearby if you miss out. The approach road is private and unauthorized cars may be subject to towing. Now, going over to the other side of the island, still staying on Maui, you have Iao Valley, and that also requires entry and parking reservations for out-of-state visitors. Reservations for this stop opens up 30 days ahead of time, but booking isn't just the final step. It's important to consider for Iao Valley weather, repairs, because it's been closed for a little while. There's safety work that it can still close the park. So check the official DLNR page before you go. As of this recording, as it goes live on July 27th, DLNR lists that Iao Valley was going to be closed through the 24th. Now it's through the 31st. So they keep pushing it back. So just be aware. If you are visiting Iao Valley, go ahead and check the official DLNR website. All right, so before we head over to Kauai, a quick word about Hawaiian Airlines. This episode is sponsored by Hawaiian Airlines. I've taken more than 30 some trips to Hawaii from Southern California, and I've flown Hawaiian Airlines honestly on every single one of them, and along with plenty of inter-island flights. For me and my family, the vacation really starts the moment that we step on board any Hawaiian Airlines flight. Every crew we've ever flown with has always been so welcoming, so warm and helpful, and just filled with aloha. They were kind enough to give me a couple links that I've been checking that has some current deals. So I would definitely go to the show notes below and check those links. There's two links. One link is for traveling to Hawaii, and the other link is to travel out of Hawaii. So Hawaii International, Hawaii over to the continental US. So go ahead and check those links below for current flight deals. And like I say, it never hurts to just look to see where price is currently at. And for us, we're staring down a trip in about 6 months. And I just want to start pricing out, see where things at. I usually don't book out until probably 3 months out of traveling, but that's just me. But wherever you're at, it never hurts to look just to see where flights are. You might be surprised. You might just land on a good deal, especially coming up this fall. All right, now let's talk about Kauai and the reservations over on that island. The first is Haena State Park. So if you don't have an accepted Hawaii residence ID, you need a reservation to enter. So that includes access to Ke'e Beach and the first part of the Kalalau Trail toward Hanakapi'ai. And reservations open 30 days ahead at midnight Hawaii time. Parking and entry reservations often disappear almost immediately. So for many visitors, the shuttle is the easier option. And that includes park entry, and it usually has more inventory. And so you want to create your account before the release date. Know which option you want. So go ahead and play around on the site first and be ready for when the window opens. And if you miss out, Go Haena recommends checking again around 7 or 8 in the morning for reservations that may have been returned or canceled. Next up, this is a little bit of a newer one. What was funny, last time we were on Kauai, we were with my in-laws, and my mom-in-law was like, hey, we need reservations for the lighthouse. And I didn't know that was a thing. So this is the thing. Next is Kilauea Point National Wildlife Refuge. And this is one that is usually less stressful, usually a little bit easier to get in, but you still need to plan ahead. Tickets open up 60 days in advance, and every adult in the vehicle needs a ticket. Children 15 and younger don't. You also need to arrive by vehicle. The lighthouse interior tours are currently suspended. I don't see them opening that anytime soon, but the refuge and the wildlife viewing, those areas remain open. It's such a cool place. It's like a 180-degree view. Waves crash into the right of you, and you can see alongside of the coast on the left side, and it's just a really cool stop on the North Shore. Limahuli Garden is another place to consider because reservations are strongly encouraged for those visiting. And, if you need parking, and online booking for the gardens opens up 30 days ahead of time. Guided tours require advanced reservations, but self-guided visitors arriving on the North Shore shuttle may be able to just walk in. So pay attention to the difference between required, strongly recommended, and simply a smart idea. Again, link below for that reservation checker for you. All right, last but certainly not least, the Big Island, Hawaii Island. The Big Island is a little bit easier. Major public day use sites like Hawaii Volcanoes National Park and Hapuna Beach don't currently require a general timed entry reservation for a normal visit. You may still have to pay an entrance fee for parking or that type of thing, but some of those locations are cashless, so just check the payment rules before arriving. But you don't need to wake up at midnight to reserve a standard day visit for really anywhere on the Big Island of Hawaii. But as always, especially if you want to visit Hawaii Volcanoes National Park, you should still check official alerts, weather, surf, road conditions, maintenance, all that stuff could, if you don't want to go all the way from Kona, all the way over, drive an hour and a half or so over to Hawaii Volcanoes National Park just to realize it's closed because of VOG, because there's an eruption going on or the roads are getting worked on. You just want to know ahead of time before you kind of waste a whole day on that. So to make things a little bit simpler, you want to do every reservation calculation in Hawaii Standard Time. Hawaii doesn't observe daylight saving time, so the time difference between Hawaii and your home may change depending on the season. So just do some math there. Second, create your accounts before the booking window opens. So that includes recreation.gov, the Hawaii State Park reservation system, and Go Haena. And, to save your payment information when the site allows it. You don't want to be creating passwords and accounts while you see those tickets disappearing in real time. But third, just stay flexible. A different day, an earlier time, or a weekday can make the difference between available and sold out. Fourth, check for cancellations and second releases. Sometimes people decide that time or date isn't going to work for them. So check back for cancellations. Haleakala gives you another chance 2 days ahead, like I mentioned. And the Arizona has a next day ticket release that you want to be checking out for. And finally, as I mentioned towards the beginning of this episode, just download every confirmation, take a screenshot, take another screenshot, this QR codes, because reliable self-service might not be where you're at, especially you're traveling more remotely. You might not get that self-service, and as you're standing at the gate and you're trying to get service, especially at a national park, it's going to be pretty tough. So make sure you have that downloaded on your phone, in your camera roll, ready to go. And it probably goes without saying, a reservation does not override a closure. Sometimes things happen, storms happen or construction happens. So just because you have a reservation doesn't mean you're guaranteed entry. More often than not, you are, but just always double check wherever you're going for current conditions. Now, if your eyes have been glazed over for the last few minutes, just between, 56 days at 3 p.m. and 30 days at midnight, that's exactly why I built that Hawaii reservation checker. You enter your date you want to visit that place, and then you filter it out. You can even filter out by island, search for a specific spot in the search bar. The checker turns every reservation rule into the exact booking date for your trip. It shows you which reservation windows are already open, which ones need your attention next, and you can even narrow the list to places that require reservations. You can add a reminder to your calendar automatically. You can print the results or copy them to your own booking checklist. And the checker doesn't sell the reservation, and it can't guarantee the tickets will still be available, but each of the listing links to the official source, so you can verify the current rule and complete the booking right in place. So the Hawaii reservation checker is completely free, and you'll find it linked in the show notes below this episode. Planning a Hawaii trip should build anticipation and excitement and not necessarily anxiety. That's why I built that checker for you, and I use it. And once you know which dates matter, the process becomes much easier. So start with the experiences and those places that you really want to visit that can affect the day. Set the reminders, keep a backup plan, and before you go, just check those official sources one at a time. All right. And that's all I got for you today. And until next time, as always, live with aloha. Mahalo for listening to Hawaii's Best. If you found today's episode helpful, make sure to hit follow on your podcast app so you don't miss future episodes. You can find all links and resources mentioned today in the show notes below. Hawaii's Best is produced by Shorebreak Media Group, edited by Easy Podcast Solutions, and with music by our friends Stick Figure.